case you confused it with New York State, as if that's a thing. No one but Loki sees this. And sure, maybe they send this in the CinemaSins video, but if you expect me to cross-reference Marvel TV sins with Marvel CinemaSins, you have grossly overestimated the amount of work I'm willing to do today. Loki, logos go slow. Flow so low, though solo, left me loco, so I loathe the show. This condensation is never seen or heard from again in this episode. Pay off your setups, Marvel. This location title did help me realize the brightness setting on my TV was way too high, but even after correction, I refuse to believe that this font color on this background passed any sort of contrast ratio test. This muzzle is just easily removable? Is that part of the design? It's not like it's really attached anywhere, so why didn't it fall off? You know, like the handcuffs apparently did.
I am Loki.
Roll commercial.
And I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Fine, go ahead, get the episode title in there too. Now you get a double roll commercials and an extra sin for interrupting me.
You're now moving at 1/16th speed, but feeling all that pain in real time.
Mondays. Also, this is great on a couple levels. Loki getting served, and the comical way it goes on for too long and you realize it's not just slow motion, but Loki's time is actually slowed down. But still, and more importantly, can there be a difference in the speed at which someone feels pain? Especially blunt force trauma to the head. That's what really needs to be explained. I love the design of this show, truly, but this department with all sorts of time tech is using a clunky industrial age robot for intake. My cognitive dissonance is rising, and you know how much I hate my own cognitive dissonance.
Absolutely not. This is fine Asgardian leather.
A robot that may or may not be sentient attempts to use the creepy pinchers before using the much faster and more efficient disintegration ray. This particular robot arm.
Please sign to verify this is everything you've ever said.
This sets up a clever joke, but what's the point of it? First, even if they tried to read it all, there's no way anyone could verify what they've said. And second, why would it matter to the TVA to have your acknowledgement anyway? Hiddleston clearly only signs the final sheet here, even though he was asked to sign all three. Make him sign all three like you said. Is this a scathing satire of bureaucracy or not?
Take a ticket.
What is this, a deli? No.
Kids.
Welcome to the Time Variance Authority.
Exposition via Q-Line video featuring a cute animated mascot, otherwise known as Jurassic Park's position. Except there it made more sense, since it was at an actual amusement park.
The TVA has stepped in to fix your mistake and set time back on its predetermined path.
I'm gonna have to remove a sin for cleverly introducing us to the very morally questionable act of erasing timelines. Is there even a word for what TVA is doing? Chronocide? Murderverse? Whatever it is, I give him an A+ for introducing this incredibly devious premise with this cheeky cartoon.
Created a Nexus event, which left unchecked could branch off into madness.
You mean like the Nexus mentioned in WandaVision could lead to the multiverse of madness? Marvel, you've done it again! And by it, I mean throw so many Easter eggs at me that I'm now numb to what reality even is anymore.
Mon ami, il est imbécile.
Owen Wilson speaking French.
Sir, there's something you'll want to see.
The worst kinds of you better take a look at this cliches are the ones that are self-evident. You traveled through time to bring him this file. You're handing it to him. I think he's well aware that you might consider it something he'd want to see.
Laufeyson. Variant L1130, aka Loki Laufeyson, is charged with sequence violation 72089. How do you plead?
No explanation of the charges against Loki is given at this trial. I vehemently disagree with the lack of transparency in the judicial processes employed by the TVA. Good thing this is only fiction, huh? As Owen Wilson arrives late to this trial, I just have to ask, if this place exists outside of time, how does it operate within its own time? Like, why would Owen never be late to anything? Could he just come back from ancient France at a time that would get him to the trial in a more punctual manner? How are people who travel through time on a daily basis ever late for anything?
We're not here to talk about the Avengers.
Marvel, pleading with audiences to love anything after the Infinity Saga, somehow makes it into the episode.
I thought there was no magic here. Where is it?
Most of what we see looks a lot like a massive space station. Considering all the fantastical stuff we've seen so far in the MCU, are we supposed to be awed by this? Why a scene?
The idea that your little club decides the fate of trillions of people across all of existence at the behest of 3 space lizards, yes, it's funny. It's absurd.
Loki would be glorious at TVSins.
For the record, this really does feel like a killing me kind of a room.
Does it? I mean, it does kind of have a brutalist vibe that I'm not a fan of. However, it's balanced out by warm tones and some interesting mid-century modern accent pieces, not to mention the baseboard lighting. If I were murdered in this room, it would be completely my fault for misreading the situation. Can we get some rules on this reset collar thing? Does it send the person back a certain number of seconds to a predetermined geolocation? Because over the course of the show, it will somehow do both.
The timekeepers have built quite the circus. And I see the clowns are playing their parts to perfection.
Big metaphor guy. I love it.
Wilson and Hiddleston are so good in this scene and show that I have to take a sin off, but Mobius's responses to Loki are a never-ending loop of being excellent at TVSins, so I'm kind of stuck in a catch-22 here. Which of course is our way of saying that the show's gonna catch 22 sins here for making me question my ability to do my job. Sorry, them's the rules.
What is this?
It's a fancy reverse expositional device. We call it the previously on the MCU machine. And for the next 30 minutes, it's gonna do all the plot's heavy lifting in increasingly more and more convenient ways.
Didn't the Avengers come together to literally avenge him by defeating you?
Little solace to a dead man.
Sure, but actually Fury Kree-corpsed him back to life with Project Tahiti. Sorry, Tahiti, so that he could keep working. You gonna mention that, oh great timekeeper? We won't stand for agents of Sahit El erasure around these parts.
Do you enjoy hurting people? Making them feel small?
YouTube commenter recruitment ads. Yes, this is mischievous, but if Loki and Thor were going to go through the trouble of putting together this whole scheme just for the thrill of it, I feel like Loki especially would have requested something more interesting than paper currency. I'm not sure what we have here that would appeal to an Asgardian, but $200,000 seems like it wouldn't be worth their time. This TVA logo is actually kind of badass with its old school feel and the hidden hourglass between the V and the A. Am I about to take a sin off for excellent graphic design? The Sacred Sin line deems it so, apparently. But also, when I said hidden between the V and the A, I immediately thought of taints. So the Sacred Sin line gives and the Sacred Sin line takes away, I guess. The Times Position device is apparently using the same camera movement from the movie. Why? Is Seamus McGarvey the DP of the Sacred Timeline as well?
What are you doing?
My job. Is it yours to interrupt?
Yes.
Mischievous scamp.
Right? Not only is he a great pickpocket, but he quickly figured out how to use the time device that, for some reason, was built without any safety or security features.
How do you not know what a fish is?
I lived my entire life behind a desk.
This is not an acceptable answer. You can be taught about things that you will never experience. That's basically the whole reason the Kama Sutra even exists. Also, Casey is a liar. Are you behind your desk right now, Casey? Are you? Case closed.
Infinity Stones?
Oh, come on. Sure, it's a funny joke that they're worthless here and have many versions discarded through time, but just because they hold no power here doesn't mean they wouldn't be protected from someone getting a hold of them and using them back in the sacred timeline. For beings charged with protecting time, their evidence processing system is less organized than my desk drawer in elementary school. No one in this scene is concerned about the obvious variant standing unaccompanied by any sort of security force in the middle of this office. This leads me to believe that either this sequence of events is expected or that every one of these workers is burnout and no longer gives two about the sacred timeline. Hunter B-15 is a dick to office supplies and has absolutely zero concern in regard to possibly killing her coworker. The company culture here is atrocious. This episode is all about this version of Loki reckoning with the misdeeds of his past and the loss of a life that he will no longer be able to live. Sure, it's well written and performed beautifully, but I can't help but feel like the overall goal here is to reshape this Loki into the one that died in Infinity War. This Loki has to experience a quickie evolution, as if it's his character arc that is somehow sacred. Convenient fast forward to this exact moment is convenient. You know, this would be pretty cool if we understood how any of this actually worked, but you just keep rocking that pointless remix, Diploki.
The variant we're hunting is you.
Oklahoma doesn't exist. No, seriously, in 1858, the state of Oklahoma didn't officially exist. It didn't become a state until 1907.
Thanks for visiting the TVA. Don't hesitate to let us know how we're doing.
You made me sit through 6 minutes of credits to hear this one lousy question is how I'm doing, you time-juggling chrono bastards. This decoding sequence is interesting for precisely 1 second, after which I have regretful flashbacks to slot machines and all their f***ery. So, the sin, as always, is Vegas. In case you confused it with Oshkosh Bagosh. Wait. Maypoling barefoot on this muddy Renfair earth. Do you know how disgusting the ground becomes after being saturated by the tears of LARPers? I love how this lady is all,
You guys aren't dressed right.
as if their futuristic combat gear is more interesting than having just watched them walk out of a f***ing portal.
of us need this,
Needing Renaissance fairs. Good thing no one is in this tent right now in the middle of the fair. It's always nice when people in the past make it easier for the TVA and a variant to not screw up the timeline. None of these idiots have their weapons activated for battle. I mean, at the very least, the glow sticks act as a mild light source. On the other end of the spectrum, they can save your life if you're ambushed, which they're about to be.
It's a trap, watch your backs.
Commander C-20 then immediately moves off on her own and exposes her back towards the darkness, like some sort of rookie asshole. Also, you'd think this trap wouldn't be much of a surprise, considering there have been so many attacks on the TVA agents. Oh, and also they'd maybe be tipped off by the dimly lit tent with unattended doomfire lapping around as if summoned by Satan. We wouldn't dare play the music, but the sin, as always, is kids. I mean, Bonnie Tyler. Also, I guess the variant is mischievous, just like Loki, but she can also clearly use magic and fend for herself, so why turn other people into mindless fighting drones? Just cast a spell and be done with it. I guess what I'm saying is be more like WandaVision with your spell casting. Really, just in general, all of these MTU shows should be more like WandaVision, in all the ways. Noki presses the time door button and then the run program option on the menu, and at no point are coordinates entered. I went along with the unexplained logic of this contraption because I assumed that the TVA had a special way of pre-programming destinations. But how would Noki know where the time door leads? There's something like 160 letter changes in this opening sequence, and that is 156 changes too many.
Are you recording or are you alive?
And while we're asking the questions, is that a stuffed weasel? Someone get Sprinkles on the line for confirmation, because that poor critter will be able to spot a fellow tortured soul from a mile away. I'm sure the drabness of the TVA office setting is purposeful, but that doesn't make it any less depressing to look at. It's like someone said, what if we could mix the Abrams Star Trek set with a Cleveland Browns uniform? And then someone else suggested, what about the Abrams Star Trek set mixed with a Cleveland Browns uniform that Baker Mayfield threw up all over after a hard night of partying? Then the third person said, then stain it all in tea. Meeting adjourned. I don't know, guys. I think I'm pretty sure I've been brainwashed to get overly excited to watching Marvel characters don a new outfit. This is literally just Loki putting on a suit jacket while wearing a tie and dress shirt, and I'm screaming at my screen like, yeah, this is amazing! It is not, though. Stop f***ing with my gauge on what is badass, Marvel.
But which kind of Loki remains unknown.
No, the lesser kind, to be clear.
Vanity.
I don't want anybody out there to forget what you are.
There's like 7 people on this mission, and Loki doesn't exactly blend in. How would anyone forget who he is?
Why don't we just travel back to before the attack, when the variant first arrives?
Oh, I know this one. Because then nothing about this show would be interesting to watch, and the drive for tension and mystery wouldn't be as easy to reach. Also, Mobius is about to give some gobbledygook answer about Nexus events destabilizing the time flow and blah, blah, blah. But what it all amounts to is it's much more convenient to come to this point so we don't have to witness the event again. So, show comes up with some BS rules for time travel that doesn't answer Loki's question, but words like Nexus and time flow are thrown in to make it sound smart. Got it? Good. Dang it, move on. Also, has the TVA never even considered that a variant or anyone in whatever time they travel to could snatch one of these grenades? I understand this weaponry provides a major plot point in this episode and probably for the series, but why wouldn't they just have a Men in Black pointy clicky thing or something less intrusive and destructive than a bomb? Meanwhile, this kid is walking around with his disintegration rod all lit up like a dumbass. What if Loki saw a snake on the ground, jumped back, and was zapped into oblivion? Never ever walk around with your Vamoosh stick fully erect and activated. This is in the training videos.
If you leave this tent, you'll end up like them.
This red herring's on for some time.
I approve the missions. Speaking of which, let's talk about the one you just botched.
Did he botch it, though? They were sent to assess the situation, which they did. Mobius figured out Loki was lying, and they reset the timeline so there were no variances. The TVA agent was missing before they got there, so that's not really on him. I'd say he did what he was supposed to do.
The variant likes to stall for time, and eventually we'll catch the other one doing the same thing.
This might be a hard sell to the boss, considering that just moments before the mission, Mobius was adamant that
No two are alike.
so just because one Loki stalls for time doesn't mean they all do.
Gotta remember this.
Fans' reaction to every possible Easter egg in this show somehow makes its way into this episode.
I don't care what makes you tick.
Odd, coming from a man who just left an office attempting to explain how getting to understand this Loki would help him catch that Noki, adjusting someone else's tie without explicit consent.
I don't need your sympathy.
Characters delay quippy reply until the elevator door closes cliché.
What's this then, the next step?
Just once can we have an elevator door open up directly into the middle of a pre-existing conversation, or even more realistic, to silence. Shh.
Happy reading.
Oh, wouldn't you know it, the one file on the variant that wasn't pulled out to be reviewed is the one file Loki has access to, which leads to a break in the case. My, no one saw this coming. What a twist!
And I could also set fire to the palace.
No, just stop. Don't set fire to the palace.
Let's pretend that this video is a new timeline where we haven't already given a send back for these Hiddleston and Wilson performances. I may not be enjoying most of what I'm watching yet, but these two are gold.
If everything and everyone around you is destined for imminent destruction, then nothing that I say or do will matter.
Unless, of course, your action actually prevented everyone from dying or allowed a few people to escape the area before the destruction, then it would 100% matter. All kinds of time branches would happen. It's not a terrible theory, but it's also not as foolproof as Loki is making it out to be. In case you confused it with Pompeii, Pennsylvania.
This entire town is wiped off the face of its planet.
How is no one noticing these two men in suits talking under this archway?
Come on, let's take a walk.
This is not walking.
In the early 1990s, for a brief, shining moment, there was a beautiful union of form and function, which we call the jet ski.
Kawasaki started making the jet ski as early as 1972 and continued to make the stand-up version that I assume Mobius is going on about until 2011. It was quite a bit more than a brief moment in time.
3 magic lizards.
Timekeepers.
How do these 3 look like lizards?
Who created you, Loki?
This conversation about the similarities in all religious and creational beliefs goes on for all the some time. Solving the mystery of where the variant is relies on the discovery of a pack of chewing gum. Sure, you can argue all you want about the variant planting it to attract the TVA, but what if Mobius hadn't discovered the chewing gum? The only reason he even questioned it was because the inside of the kid's mouth was blue? What if he never saw the kid or the kid never even smiled? Also, the detectives deduce where to go in the timelines based on when this gum was in production. They literally go to a store because the store sells it, but how would they know that any of the other apocalyptic events did not have this gum? What if it was in someone's pocket and Loki stole it?
Do you have candy on Asgard?
Yeah, grapes, nuts.
No wonder you're so bitter.
Grape nut shaming. This deployment squad did all of this investigating of what they were getting themselves into, but didn't consider that cameras might pick them up when they walked into the store.
If anyone's anyone, you're me.
And she is a she who they think is a he that can be he's or she's by just touching a knee.
Take it easy.
Every one of us can look at this man's expression and know that he is thinking, you'd better come take a look at this. And even though it's not spoken, we're still sinning.
Enchantment is a clever trick.
Is that what you're calling brightly lit product placement? Enchantment? Damn, marketing verbiage is getting real fancy. Back in my day, we just called it manipulation.
What did you give away?
The timekeepers, where they are.
How does Hunter C20 even know where the timekeepers are? Mobius, a top agent, hasn't even met the timekeepers. I get the TVA is arrogant, but that still doesn't explain why they would let lower level agents have info they might be tortured into giving away if one of these missions goes awry. I just want to point out that in 2050, stores are still selling wired earbuds.
I miss Randy.
What a lot of American Idol fans said when they tuned into season 13 somehow makes its way into this episode. Why is Loki going all fisticuffs with this guy? He's got magic. Use magic. Okay, sure, this looks cool, but why would Loki go through all the trouble of wiring the devices across a massive store when collecting them in one place behind a locked door would do the exact same thing? It's not like she has a ton of time on her hands. Shh, shh. If you listen closely, you can hear the sounds of all the Marvel nerds clicking pause on their remotes and scrambling to research each of these locations. We honor all of you with this sin. Nice. Look at how long these portals stay open for everyone to run through. I just know the show will be consistent with how long they stay open and never close at the least opportune time. Just to get this straight, Loki wired a ton of devices to bomb the sacred timeline, installed red lighting across the store, and to be sure the lights didn't flicker, she hooked it up to a power source so they all visually punch the point that whatever is happening is real bad. Wait! Yeah, it's too bad Mobius doesn't have an armed soldier with him that could use a weapon on Loki before he crosses through the door. Wait, whatever the f this organizational system is. This. Oh, sure. Hear me complain about too many letter shifts earlier and then add some more to it? 188 shifting letters?
You know what brain freeze is, don't you?
Here we go.
It's when you sip something so cold, so it permeates the roof of your mouth and freezes the synapses in your brain, so your memories are literally frozen in place.
This is not literally or even figuratively true. Brain freeze, or a cold stimulus headache, has nothing to do with memory, and everything to do with the pain receptors being exposed to extreme swings in temperature. I understand that Foki here is using brain freeze as a metaphor for what she's doing to poor Hunter C20 here, but if you're going for a metaphor, why not use deja vu? Now, why did I come into the kitchen again?
Okay, ask.
How many people are guarding the timekeepers?
Sorry, what?
See, if you'd gone with deja vu, this might have worked. This futuristic grocery store has security cameras that track plot-related people through the parking lot. Amazing! Total bull, but amazing.
All benefits to armory.
Which is more of a sin, the sudden inconvenient timing of Foki's time door, or that she's more interested in a top bun rather than concealing herself with her hood as she has been doing before her reveal last episode. Oh, you're right, it's both. You do realize that there are other available options on the spectrum between incapacitation through magical means and murder by disintegration? Just a thought. But why not carry the very important weapon with you if you know your powers won't work? Why is no one picking up the whoosh away rod?
Stop!
I'm all for the bad guy killing the good guys, but come on. Did no one train to use these light up sticks? She had a sword the whole time?
You're in my way.
Only because you walked away from the elevators, which was a really odd choice given the situation.
But now I see you lack vision.
Well, technically, this whole show lacks vision. Wait, was that even meant to be? Damn it, I'm so used to Marvel pummeling my little fan person brain with Easter eggs that I have no idea if this is supposed to be a reference to the Vision or not. 10 cents for once again making me question the very fabric of my reality.
Shut up!
I'm sorry, but this is not the even standoff it's framed to be. Sylvie has a sword, while Loki has a fist. 2 fists at most.
Goodbye, variant.
Which moron designed this device? My phone leaves me in a state of low battery panic for at least 3 anxiety-riddled hours before it finally dies, and I'm not depending on it for any form of chronometric escapism. Also, shouldn't this device give you plenty of notice before it runs out of juice? Or, better yet, prevent you from making an outbound trip to whenever the if it doesn't have enough power to get you back home? Being stranded somewhen in a timeline you're supposed to be protecting seems like a guaranteed way to make sure your parents never get together at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. Well, with a name like that, you're just asking for an apocalyptic event.
Of all of the apocalypses saved on that 10 path, this is the worst. No one makes it off here.
Isn't that the point? Wasn't the whole idea of hiding in apocalypses because there wouldn't be any survivors and therefore no chance of her creating any disturbances in the time force or whatever it is? Is Sylvie saying that she has apocalypses saved in there that do have survivors? That makes none of the sense. I suppose now is a good time to point out that these two untrusting foes were trying to kill each other a few moments ago, and suddenly our Loki is totally fine with Foki getting this close and touching his face without any struggle.
Fine.
What exactly is causing Loki's daggers to make this shinging sound? It's not like he's unsheathing them. Doesn't he just make them disappear and then reappear? I suppose he could be using a minor illusion spell, but that seems a bit cantropy for Loki.
I don't know, a truce?
See, a warp I can get on board with, but not a shing.
The plan you interrupted was years in the making. Years.
Was it? I mean, how has Sylvie been able to measure that? And if that tornado in Oklahoma was her base of operations, how was she able to spend years there without, I don't know, bumping into herself?
There's power somewhere on this moon. We just need enough of it to travel through interdimensional time and space.
Where the hell are you going to find 1.21 gigawatts at this hour?
Just because I have to work with you doesn't mean I want to hear your voice.
TVSins writers when I ask them for feedback on my narration. So let's talk about the villain's plan.
Your years in the making plan was to tear the place down, create the ultimate power vacuum, and then just walk away.
Thanks, Loki. You'd be great at TVSins, but I swear to Odin, if you interrupt me one more time...
I'm just checking the coupling, making sure it can connect.
The pain Apple deliberately puts its users through every damn day. There's a reason their logo is an apple with a bite out of it. Here's a confusing part of the story where Loki and Foki go into a tiny house to find a massive power source.
Brute force is no substitute for diplomacy and guile.
It's been a long time.
This is what you call diplomacy? I guess the Asgardian definition strays far more into the manipulative asshole variation.
Hello, dear.
Patrice?
I know how the disguise spell works, and sure, he may look like Patrice on the outside, but there's no way to nail the voice unless you have the actor feed and have heard it before. This must be the calmest apocalypse to have ever apocalypsed. Is it too much to ask for a bit of looting, or at least an unruly mob? Also, I'm calling shenanigans that anything resembling an orderly line would be maintained here. This is the end of the world. People don't wait in line like this for Disneyland, let alone their only possible salvation from the coming apocalypse. Also, no one seems to give a damn that Loki and Sylvie are just strolling past, cutting to the front of the line. Okay, there's a couple of withering stares, but damn it, I want my unruly mob.
We're doing this one my way.
No one behind them sees this. What is in the water here? This must be the most placid group of people in the multiverse. Did the whole of Canada just move to this moon?
Hello, look.
Like someone with a shit plan.
Loki would be Sylvie at TVSins. Has the train left all those people behind? Forgive me if this sounds naive, but surely in a global emergency like this, the goal is to evacuate as many people as possible. There's so much room left in this cart alone. Why is no one bothered by the end of the world?
Are you sure she was your mother?
No, she's not actually. I was adopted. Is that a bit of a spoiler for you? Sorry about that.
No, I knew I was adopted.
What? They told you?
So is Sylvie from an alternate timeline entirely where she chooses to be a woman and barely remembers her mother? Or is she from an alternate dimension where everything is different? I don't care which turns out to be true, but why the secrecy? Surely I can't be expected to root for either of these mass murderers, whatever their origins.
But she told me that one day I'd be able to do it too, because I could do anything.
Parents who tell their kids this lie.
Is there a lucky bow waiting for you at the end of this crusade?
Movie has time for this. TV show acting as though it has the runtime of a movie has time for this.
So, on the subject of love.
Managed to maintain quite a serious long-distance relationship with a postman whilst running across time.
A postman? What does he, just install posts for a living? Oh, she means a mailman. Oh, you silly Brits. What, he just delivers posts all day? Suppose next you're going to tell me he works at the post? Oh.
Must have been would-be princesses. Or perhaps another prince.
A bit of both. I suspect the same as you.
The way Loki's sexuality is revealed here with zero fanfare, just as if it's another part of his personality, is fantastic. Still a long way to go, but this is a start.
You relax your way, and I'll relax mine.
But why relax at all? Why not attempt to drain the power source for the train at least once before a nap? It is super nice of the apocalypse to leave the train track and power sources completely alone as they traverse towards their destiny. I am all for using headbands as weaponry, but really only as a backup plan to the sword. Well, we assume the sword works. We haven't seen it slay anyone so far. Also, there's no way Foki's horn tiara wouldn't snag part of this ridiculously knitted getup, let alone any of the pointy weapons used in this fight. Come to think of it, their uniform should be riddled with snags, runs, and the one wayward string that you can't help but pull. In fact, Unravel should be playing in the background as this knitted bullshirtery wheezes on. She punches a helmet. He punches a helmet. And really, what are helmets for anymore? Being thrown through a train window before your intended stop after drinking too much alcohol, or predestination station defenestration post-intoxication, if you will. So does Loki's magic just make things invisible? I was expecting some sort of extra planar pocket dimension arrangement, but the tempad must still physically exist or it wouldn't have been destroyed by the fall. This also means Loki's daggers are currently, albeit invisibly, piercing any number of his internal organs. And God knows where he's been shoving the invisible tesseract all along.
Oh, the mission. The mission? What, your glorious purpose?
Does anyone have the commercials for episode 1? Yeah? Cool. Roll them.
Did the scream make you feel better?
Loki survives this.
What about the Ark?
The Ark never leaves because it's destroyed.
Whoa, Nelly. Let me just grab my tempad.
Where is everyone?
The Ark. The evacuation vessel.
Something like that would have enough juice to repower the tempad.
See, back at this lady's house, Sylvie doesn't seem to have a clue what the Ark is. So how does she now suddenly know its history and that it didn't make it off the planet? And if she did know about it, why didn't she take them there to start with? Looks like somebody caught a bout of the brain freeze.
You know, I don't think I've ever walked this much in my life.
I'm strolling on the moon. It's gonna blow up soon. What a glorious purpose. Oh my God, people, where is your urgency? You're about to be hit with a planet.
You want to know how enchantment works? I have to make physical contact and then grab hold of their mind.
Oh.
How does Loki not understand how enchantment works? Especially this Loki from 2012 who literally used this exact power or something extremely similar to control the minds of Hawkeye, Dr. Selvig, and half of Sahel just days earlier.
I have to make physical contact and then grab hold of their mind.
Which is incredibly confusing considering we don't always see Foki touch the person herself. But we have seen the enchanted person grab hold of her next victim and transfer mental ownership powers. So how does this work exactly? I've never actually walked for 10 minutes, but given the distance, I'm pretty confident if the Ark is launching in that time, our pair of keys is
Because this is gonna suck.
Do yourself a favor and believe Sylvie here, because the next 10 minutes is just a whole lot of suck. Sure, it looks like a lot of things are happening, but believe me when I say that hiding in the spins, power walks, running, fighting, and ducking, nothing is actually happening. Okay, mister, that's a surefire way to get yourself expelled from the Rickon Stark School of Running Away from Things. You've been warned. This is an apocalyptic event report of an airplane hijacking and bomb threat with 0 fatalities, which doesn't seem all that apocalyptic, does it? Between 1 minute of Previously's, 35 seconds of Marvel logoing, 20 seconds of Loki title carding, and 4 minutes and 48 seconds of end credits, we're left with only 33 minutes of content. Some bastard is robbing me of over 7 minutes of Tom Hiddleston, and I will not stand for it. Imagine if every time you went to a restaurant, they made you sample all the things you ate the last time you were there. Not new versions of those things, the actual things. They went to the waste plant, found the remains of your meal, and made you re-eat it after you'd already processed it and taken what you needed. Welcome to Previously On segments. This mountain is never seen or heard from again in this episode. I'm beginning to think Marvel uses these establishing shots for atmosphere only.
Dragon swoops towards the palace.
Actual footage of the Game of Thrones Season 8 writer's room somehow makes it into this episode. That's it? Just the toys? What about the people she knew? The other countless ways she's impacted this universe's timeline? I know there's talk about erasing entire realities, but why is it leaving the marble behind when the toys disappear? Of the many things this show yada yadas for the sake of our beliefs staying suspended, I'm tiring the most of this resetting nonsense. I really wish someone would get this burnout bureaucrat a drink so he can stop mean mugging everyone. We see Ravonna and Mobius tie one on later in the episode. He knows what's going on. He's probably just angry he was never invited. Who are these people? Are they members of the TVA? And why do they do nothing to stop this escape? Maybe they're just concerned citizens of the Null time zone. I'm going to say we have a florist, a tax attorney, and the owner of a small but delightful deli here. So why on their day off are they choosing to watch these dull-ass court proceedings instead of making me my pastrami on rye?
Next case. Next case.
Right here.
The TVA court procedures apparently follow the same rules as Marco Polo. The TVA's technology is absurdly easy to use, or maybe our technology is absurdly difficult. Point is, these TemPads don't even require an access pen or a fingerprint. I get a new TV remote and I have to study it for hours just to change the input select. But sure, program yourself a functional time door in mere seconds on a device you've never seen before, child. Look, there's only one explanation for indoor fog that thick, and it's not supernatural. There's a reason the timekeepers keep asking for more Funyuns is all I'm saying.
Look, I know there's protocol, but she could have information.
Mobius has been at this for a while, but doesn't seem to notice how paper-thin their so-called protocols are. Other than vendettas, pruning, and paperwork, their adherence to rules is about as strict as a dress code at Burning Man.
What? How?
I'm a simple man. Give me Owen Wilson saying, wow, or how, and I'm taking a sin off. All I really want is for him to star as a farmer turned stock trader, so he can take his cow and sow from plow to dow. Is that too much to ask? This shot is stunningly beautiful and all, but there are a bunch of meteorites pelting the area. Sure, we're in a resignation moment here, but survival instinct is strong and there's a tube to hide in right there. If I had paid more attention in physics, I'd be able to explain to you why two massive celestial objects this close together should be wreaking way more havoc than this calm scene would suggest. I'm sure it goes something like magnetic fields, blah blah gravity, blah blah seismic activity, blah blah. Why is this lake so calm?
Do you think that what makes a Loki is the fact that we're destined to lose?
No. According to this show, what makes a Loki is the British accent. Lokis can be anything, as long as they sound like they're from London. Despite the inescapability of the time twister displacement collar things, Sylvie, Loki, and the hunters all go along with this dramatic hallway struggle walk. Also, why are they even in the hallway right now? The TemPads can open a glowy door anywhere. Why not bring them right into the time theater?
A bad memory prison? How quaint.
Lady Sif is a dick to Loki. Lady Sif is a dick to Loki's Lady Sif is a dick to Loki because Loki was a dick to Lady Sif, and now Loki's likely won't stiff because Lady Sif was a dick to Loki's Also, honestly, any testicular trauma after the second loop is on you, Loki. Tuck your low globes away the second Sif walks out. I've seen RuPaul's Drag Race. I know there are ways.
Work your Loki and figure out what caused that spike.
J-O-I.
Two variants of the same being, especially you, forming this kind of sick, twisted romantic relationship.
Sick? Twisted? Aren't we supposed to love ourselves? People spend millions of dollars searching for this kind of therapeutical breakthrough. Get bent, Mobius, but only in a way that turns and reconnects to itself so it ends up with only one true side and a single boundary curve. Science jokes!
I had to box your ears.
Damn, going from spirited argument to ear punches is in no way a healthy progression. Mobius really needs to use some of his PTO.
If you could go anywhere, anytime, where would it be?
I can go anywhere, anytime.
Mobius would be excellent at TVSins.
C20, the variant, All these questions, what are you getting at?
At this point, we all suspect Ravonna is hiding something, but that doesn't make it any less absurd to be irritated when someone whose job it is to investigate things has questions.
You've been spending too much time with Lokis.
Yeah. I definitely have been spending too much time with Lokis.
TVSins staff meetings. I'm glad we're back at good old Roxxcart because I've got something to say. This is a terrible name for a store. Sure, with it being Loshi's hideout, it's a fun play on women having 2 X chromosomes, and the little logo looks like 2 people. But I'm just saying the second you throw another consecutive X in your store name and only sell regular toys, flashlights, or plugs, you're going to have some very disappointed walk-ins. I'm willing to accept a lot about this little device. Okay, that's not true. I've pretty much seen every aspect of it by this point. But if you thought I was going to stand by and let you participate in blatant zoom and enhancing on my watch, well, you can just plan a kiss on my sacred timeline.
I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times.
I know, right? So why aren't you exploring? Walk around, look for flaws. You're a Loki for Odin's sake. So you've been misted. The Loki I know would have solved this room and beyond a Riven by now.
So I just have to trust the word of 2 Lokis? How about the word of a friend?
Why does this resonate with Mobius? He may believe that Loki is not entirely lying, but I feel like the show has spent a lot of time establishing so much distrust between these 2 characters that a friendship at this stage is very unlikely. I mean, I could see this blossoming into a friendship, like after solving a few cases together, Mobius eventually invites him over to have dinner with the family, and Mobius realizes that Loki might be crazy, but he means well, and then they go uncover a drug smuggling ring operated by a former CIA paramilitary unit who then kidnaps Mobius's daughter, forcing the 2 of them to go on a rescue mission which gets foiled, and they're taken to the baddie's hideout and tortured, but they escape to have to return to Mobius's house because the baddies are going after his family now, but they get there just in time, and the whole thing ends dramatically when Loki fights the main baddie in the rain. Now that's a relationship I would believe. Wait, are helmets optional now? Or is this guy just an anti-helmeter and people are so tired of his bullshit they've lost the will to argue about it anymore?
That's what I like to do. Just riding around on my jet ski.
Prune him.
Holy shit. I mean, you know Marvel can bring anyone back, and I know Marvel can bring anyone back, but Loki doesn't know that. This moment is surprising, shocking, and Hiddleston sells it so well, I'm feeling my own feelings. But also jet skis. Also, Ravonna doesn't prune Loki here because we all know you can't prune a Loki without filling out the proper forms and completing the prerequisite boss battle. Tom Hiddleston looking good in a shirt and tie cliche.
I've lost track of the number of times I've been killed, so go ahead. Do your worst.
Loki's only actually died once in the MCU, and he fake died twice. Hardly enough times to lose count. And since the one real time and one of the fake times it wasn't even this particular Loki, it'd be a little weird if he couldn't count to 1. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't someone just be able to approach unhindered and not only hijack the chrono collars, but unlock them both with one push of a button? Deus Tex Machina got a Deus Tex Machina, I guess. These 2 guards were apparently trained to not ever, under any circumstance, attack the assailant at the same time.
Then who created the TVA?
The Disney Imagineers. Duh. Oh, please. Just because the camera didn't hear or see Ravonna doesn't mean neither of the 2 people in the room would have heard her get up and approach. Do you know how hard it is to sneak up on 2 people in an echoey room? Especially 2 Lokis? Marvel didn't think we could mourn another Loki death for more than 2 minutes. They were probably right, but whether it's their fault or ours, it's still a sin. Also, the possibility of this Loki Gator being the leader of this group tempted me to remove all the sins from the episode and then promptly reapply them because I feel toyed with. But instead, I'll just give the standard single sin for taking full 4 episodes to go full Loki-verse. I really love how weird Marvel went with their fantastic forecasting. I wonder who the alligator's playing. Choosing to open your show with a nausea-inducing shot. Do you want me to paint the screen with my bowl of Lucky Charms I just scarfed down, Marvel? Because this is how you get ants. I mean, Lucky Charms vomit. Look, Carmsmit? Also, there's a great amount of transitory effort put into this opening sequence, and it makes you feel like something important is about to happen. But it's just a cleverly repackaged previously on that points a glaring arrow at the insane convenience of Loki's introduction in The Void and its variant Loki inhabitants.
What is this place? Where are we? Who are you?
This is the Void, that's Alioth, and we're his lunch. Come on!
Richard E. Grant exposition is the best exposition. It's clear, to the point, and concise. But every time I see Richard E. Grant, I'm reminded that not enough people love Hudson Hawk, so... Also, I wonder how anyone knows the monster's name is Alioth. It's not like it stops for a chat to introduce itself before annihilating time junk.
This is it, isn't it? This is where you dragged me after you stole my life.
Yes, but can we back up a smidge and discuss how they arrived at this place? Maybe we could have forgotten that last week's episode ended with Sylvie and Renslayer down in the Timekeeper's lair, but you just reminded us of it in the previously awning a moment ago. So Sylvie's hair should be wet and you both should be on that set and not this set.
I can help you if you trust me.
And despite all reason, Sylvie offers up a Tempad as a symbol of her trust, even though Renslayer never asked for it and certainly hasn't done anything to earn it. But we gotta get the show going, folks. Only one more episode left.
I'd like to suggest we take a quick breather so I can ask several thousand questions.
Tom, gotta keep moving so we don't die.
Meaning these new Lokis were on their daily keep moving stroll through the massive not NYC earlier and just happened upon our Loki? TVA are dicks, sending people out there into the whatever verse with no tread on their shoes.
Why do you wear the horns?
Kid Loki is not wearing horns. He's wearing what could be best described as feathers. Classic Loki is wearing horns, but our Loki isn't speaking to him. I would say I'm confused, but that would infer I care at all about this storyline and or this show, and I do not.
I killed Thor.
Kids. Oh look, it's a yellow jacket helmet and weather top. What does it all mean? Also, I'd like to take a moment of silence for all the Marvel fans who've had to watch this episode 90 times in order to find and research all of the Easter eggs in this one episode. It's like the writers realized that they could run through the comic book buffet and scoop a little bit of everything onto their tray. Some of it's obvious, like Throg here. Some things need a more keen eye. I honor you all with this silence in the time that none of us will be able to retrieve after going down all the Easter egg timelines.
So, why did you want to return to the TVA so badly anyway?
Better question. How is this underground bowling bunker getting power supply from anywhere?
We know where you hide.
Actual footage of me attempting to have bathroom alone time somehow makes its way into the episode. Well, except with a smartphone and a plunger. So everything she's holding is taken to the void, but not the weapon that zaps her? How does that work? Holy shit. If you drink an alcoholic beverage, you risk pregnancy? I mean, obviously the writers drank too much Roxy wine before writing the government warning and meant to say that drinking alcohol while pregnant causes issues, or maybe in the pruned Roxy verse, drinking alcohol does cause pregnancy? Is this an Easter egg? A clue? A up? Damn it, MCU.
Tell them your story, Loki.
Nobody wants to hear about that.
He's not wrong. Although I may be willing to listen to a story if it includes the part about how his costume design evolved to this after Kermit and a Doozer merged design houses. Polybius perverts play by producing psychoactive permutations purposely placed by pandering policy poo faces who push psychological programs without punishment, allegedly.
Have any of you met a woman variant of us?
Sounds terrifying.
That's racist.
I'm gonna kill Alioth, and I could use all the help I can get.
Character gives a rousing speech and it seems like everyone listening is invested, but after it's over, they all burst out in laughter, cliche. Loki was told early on that there have been multiple variant Lokis and no two are alike, so why are there others that look like Tom Hiddleston? While all of the Lokis have different strengths, as far as the powers are concerned, they all appear to act about the same. So what else could no two alike mean, other than appearance? Opting to break glass rather than climb through the hole immediately above your head. Having to waste my time looking up whether or not Skinny's Pizza was an Easter egg, and even if it was, it's most likely a Cars reference since Lightning McQueen is driving the car. So the sin can be for wasting time on pointless research or having to watch a Cars reference. F it, I'm giving 2 because I'm annoyed. Oh, look, a working car driven by Mobius with enough gas and off-road abilities to easily drive here right on time to save Sylvie. Mad Mobius Fury Road. How exactly can one Loki maim another Loki, despite them being essentially the same being? How do you bite the hand off of a god? So Illusion Kadoki throws Illusion Alagoki on new Maboki, and what I find most interesting is that Illusion Alagoki seems to tackle Maboki with ferocity and substance. So is the alligator an illusion? Is it real? It seems very real, which is exciting because whatever Kermoki does with his power should literally hold up and not crumble.
Approaching Alioth is a death sentence. We'll get you to it, but that's as far as we go.
How is that helpful? Loki can find Alioth just as easily as these other two can. This show is making it hard to root for a character played by Richard E. Grant. And I watched The Little Vampire because of him. The Little Vampire!
I guess when you think the ends justify the means, there's not much you won't do.
Politics. What does Loki need a blanket for? He was birthed by frost giants. One thing he should never get is cold.
Tell you what, you could conjure me a new outfit. You have no idea how uncomfortable something like this is.
So don't wear it?
I don't even know what we're doing.
Great. That makes 2 of us. Skip. Conjuring a communal blanket for someone without explicit consent.
And I think if I can get close enough to it, I can enchant it. And it's gonna take me to whoever's behind all of this.
This works. Go, Kermoki, go! Do some badass in mustard diaper. We are here for it. With that being said, if he has this kind of juice in him, why would he wait until now to use it? This would have been super helpful back at the Game of Thrones.
How is he doing that?
I think we're stronger than we realize.
Oh, how I love Marvel in their blah, blah, blah approach to answering important questions.
I don't know how.
You do, because we're the same.
Much of the premise of this show has been no 2 Lokis are alike, and now it's betting that all Lokis have the ability to do anything that their variant persons can do. Problem is, though, that even the Lokis themselves seem to forget their existing powers. For example, our Loki is already enchanted, and Kermoki should walk through a portal and escape Alioth. As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats his scenes in a previously on segment, or something. It's basically in the Bible, and that thing's full of sins.
Wakanda forever!
No, you wouldn't have heard of me.
Let me put you on hold.
Dance off, bro! He's a friend from work!
These opening self-blogos, accompanied by the Marvel, quote, all-stars, are like that guy from work that can't quit talking about his week in Dubai. We get it, Shane. You did some cool stuff. Now, can you please get back to work? Those crew neck tees aren't going to fold themselves. Throwing in the moon landing and Greta Thunberg at the end of 30 full seconds of Marvel miasma to make your opening feel more important than it actually is. I know Disney feels like they own everything, but it seems a little ballsy to put a post-apocalyptic Hogwarts in your TV show without even getting permission from Warner Brothers. Man, I hope we get to find out all the cool things about this castle, like what kind of stone it's made of with those awesome cracks, or maybe it was a monster that did them. My money's on the Kraken, but I'm sure the show will let us know soon enough. There's no way this episode will just be scenes of people having conversations the entire time. Good thing that would never happen.
Everything okay?
Yeah, just need a moment.
No, you take your moments in episodes 3 or 4 at the latest. By the time you're at the final episode, you don't take moments. You do the thing that the show's been building up to for the past 5 episodes. Damn it, Loki, I'm tired of taking moments. I'm really fucking sick and tired of it. Phew. Sorry about that. I'm clearly the one wearing the horns today.
I was pruned before you even existed.
Were you, though? I thought pruning was when they officially zapped you with the rainbow baton of existential nothingness, which literally just happened. Before that, weren't you just kidnapped? Also, how do you know who existed first? Just because you got yoinked into the TVA first doesn't mean they didn't pull you from a time that postdated this Loki. Your words matter, Sylvie.
I have been waiting for this moment my entire life. I just need a second to get my head straight, okay?
Castle doors addict to people needing a second. Once, at a wedding reception, I requested a Van Halen song, but the DJ almost put a Criss Cross track on instead. Anyhow, I hate jump scares.
He's impressed.
Who's impressed?
He who remains.
Either playing the pronoun game when it's not needed, or self-nicknaming via the pronoun game. I'm actually so annoyed right now, I'm not going to pick. I'm just going to give 2 sins and sort it out later.
You can kill Thanos.
Hiddleston's reaction here is great, but would he really have that much emotion just from seeing a highlight reel earlier of what Thanos did in a reality he was never even really part of?
You want the Infinity Gauntlet? Yours.
I get that if you're going to keep an antagonist around in this kind of capacity, humanizing him is just part of the process. Look what Star Trek eventually did to the Borg. That doesn't mean I have to like it. Loki would take this deal. Or at least the interesting version of Loki would take this deal. The not deal-taking Loki is a Loki of lies. I mean, all Lokis are Lokis of lies, but this one is a Loki of different lies.
2 Lokis in the same place.
Someone hasn't studied their time cop. Shooting video in portrait mode. Checking for dust without a white glove on. Most of dust is human skin, Loki, and now you're basically wearing someone else's skin on your skin, you creepo.
This is wild.
What? That the villain eats an apple thing is so mainstream now that Marvel's just whipping it out front and center instead of doing it on the sly and hiding their shame? Agree. Come on, Marvel, don't you realize how naked your cliche is here? If only there were a metaphor for the moment you wake up, become aware of your sin, and feel ashamed. Well, either way.
Come on, let's talk. From my office.
Spending any amount of time in a Marvel TV show talking in an office.
2 sugars.
Thinking that 2 sugars can fix the nastiness that is tea, or coffee, or whatever drink you've convinced yourself is actually good, even though it's so bitter it's primarily responsible for keeping the sweetener industry in business.
Oh, well, you know, one man's void is another man's piece of cake.
Title of my sex tape? Why is the coat drive poster in Rinslayer's office? Wouldn't that be better served out in the hallway or even on the outside school walls so more people were aware of it happening? There will be kids without coats this winter because school doesn't know how to advertise correctly. Calling your school the Ohio State University. You're not special, Buckeyes, no matter how many articles you insert before your title.
Everything that's going to happen. There's only one way this can go.
Does it involve Disney making anus loads of money? I bet it involves Disney making anus loads of money.
No, you can't get to the end until you've been changed by the journey. This stuff, it needs to happen to get us all in the right mindset to finish the quest.
Jonathan Majors is not my DM in this scene.
Free will?
Free will?
I give all the sins back right now if the Fresh Prince suddenly leapt over Renslayer from behind and she trailed her fingers on his skin as he passed above her and then swam to freedom.
Eons of friendship, and you threw it all away on a couple of Lokis.
As interesting a character as she's become, I'm kind of starting to wish the show was called Renslayer instead of Loki, but it is not.
And just who are you?
Oh, I've been dubbed many names by many people. A ruler, a conqueror.
We'll get back to your regularly scheduled sinning here in a bit, but damn, I gotta take some sins off. The fact that Marvel reveals a major villain sure to have a huge impact on the MCU in one of their TV shows, it's a sign the game's completely changed. Take some real show nads to put this much faith in your plan, and I've gotta give some respect. Also, Jonathan Majors is absolutely pulverizing this role. He's so brilliant, compelling, and charismatic that I've forgotten my job here is to sin things, not fan slobber all over him. I'm sorry, won't let it happen again.
Eons ago, before the TVA.
Exposition via some sort of Mercury theater is still exposition. I bet you didn't even get permission from Orson Welles.
He discovered that there were universes stacked on top of his own.
Those look more like solar systems than universes, but whatever, King the Expositioner, you do you.
I love your shoes. I love your hair. Oh, man. Nice nose. Thanks, man.
Oh, it happened again, didn't it?
However, not every version of me was so pure of heart.
And the director said, remember that obvious apple metaphor from earlier? Let's pound it home even more and have him take another bite right in the middle of talking about the asshole versions of himself, because subtlety, am I right? God, the way the music is in harmony with his vocal performance and the general amazingness of this Natalie Holt soundtrack is blowing my mind. Nope, not again. Pretentiously singing it amen when we all know it's amen. Whew, saved it.
Once I isolated our timeline, all I have to do is manage the flow of time and prevent any further branches.
Oh, is that all?
TVA, it works.
Or you're a liar.
There are so many more possibilities than that. Let's get some gray in there, Marvel. Not every scenario is black or white, Marvel or DC, Laverne or Shirley. Also, side note, it's totally Shirley.
We're all villains here.
One's been a bit neutered, but sure. Oh, now you use magic. I haven't been this annoyed with mythical creatures relying on modern weaponry since Underworld hot leather pants. Glad to see the MTU isn't faltering on their stabby pew finale resolutions. There's something to be said about being consistently predictable with the final battles.
Sylvie, stop. Stop.
She already did, somehow, in the midst of a ferocious kill swing, despite you not saying this till after you appeared, in the direct line of that kill shot that somehow did not kill you.
I don't want to hurt you.
I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, babe. And I don't want to miss a thing. Sorry, I black out and sing Aerosmith when I get bored by what's going on in front of me. There's a reason people have stopped inviting me to weddings and funerals. It's masturbation.
But I'm not you.
Wait, you mean not you? Or like not you at all? Like not a Loki or not this Loki? If you think making me wait a year to find out the answer to this isn't going to get you a sin, you're right, because you're getting 5.
No turning back now.
Hey, remember these important characters that were developed so nicely through the last 5 episodes and then given to do in the finale? Yeah, me either. I should probably start a Sidekicks Anonymous support group with Taurus from Falcon and Sharon and Todd Davis from WandaVision with an emphasis on the Anonymous.
For all time.
Always.
Roll King Mercials.
What are you talking about?
Who are you? What's your name?
Nice twist you got there. Be a shame if someone came along and questioned the logic of it. But why would Sylvie have programmed him to go to an alternate timeline or universe? Why would that timeline or universe be in the exact same time and with the same people as he left it? And why would those people not know who he is when the timelines didn't diverge till after he left? How would there even be a TVA in a different timeline or universe? I'm sure you'll explain it to me in the comments, and Marvel will pretend to answer some of these questions, but I'm guessing it comes down mostly to...
It's complicated, okay?
And that ain't enough. Breaking the 4th dimensional wall.
We are not identical twins.
Oh, no?
No.
This is fine Asgardian leather.
Corinthian leather? Of course, why not the best?
100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes, just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals.
Tu sais qui a fait ça?
Could it be Satan?
Welcome to Alpha, the city of 1,000 planets.
Why does someone with so much range just want to rule?
It's really not that complicated. I got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out.
What exactly is it that you want?
I'll tell you one thing that really drives me nuts is people that think that Jethro Tull is just a person in the band.
Give me the Tesseract or I'll gut you like a fish, Casey.
What's a fish?
I'll hunt you down and gut you like a fish.
You guys want corn dogs?
That's a temporal anomaly. Corn dogs didn't come into existence till the first half of the 20th century.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. We have a saying in Asgard.
Only Nixon could go to China.
Okay, look, you don't trust me, you can trust one thing.
I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius.
You remind me of them.
The babe. Babe with the power. Power of voodoo.
Elevator go down the hall. Pull the lever, drunk.
I remember. Sorry, half an hour ago I was a white-haired Scotsman.
Oh, I know you did send me back to the future, but I'm back. I'm back from the future.
Not so fast! Dagger, dagger, dagger! Dagger, dagger, dagger!
You're in my way.
You are my way.
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
You're no travelers. You're devils.
Were you sent here by the devil?
No, good sir, I'm on the level.
Brute force is no substitute for diplomacy and guile.
Diplomatic community.
I'm thinking you want him independence. And I'm thinking you weren't burdened with an overabundance of schooling.
The universe wants to break free, so it manifests chaos.
I'm an agent of chaos.
We get hit all the time by rocks and meteors. Some of them the size of cars, some no bigger than your hand.
You had rings around them. You're amazing.
Wow, you're so dominant.
Your father would have been proud of you, Jen.
Timekeepers are watching,
They're
Mobius.
always watching.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Fine. You want the truth?
You can't handle the truth.
You can be whoever, whatever you want to be, even someone good.
I like being bad and then going home and being good.
We're in a Shark Tank.
So for those reasons, I'm out.
You said it's a living thing. You said it's a shark.
I'll find him for 3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10.
Well, life's a beach, and then you drive.
Hang on.
Here we go.
You'll never find them. Not before she does.
And why is that?
You only want it. She needs it.
That doesn't make sense.
And what have we always wanted?
The whole place organized by style, cross-referenced by size, and reverse-indexed by fabric. She'll be able to find anything in 3 seconds flat. It was some of my best work.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
And just who are you?
I am Kang. Do not be frightened. We mean you no harm.
You speak English.
I am actually speaking Rigelian. By an astonishing coincidence, both of our languages are exactly the same.
You came to kill the devil, right?
We beat the devil. With our rock.
I've lived a million lifetimes.
$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool?
$1 billion.
Hold it. What is this? Is this a kissing book?